Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to My Hero Academia Season 5, Episode 2. And really, you could say the start of the actual season. Because the first episode of these seasons kind of have the same thing going on. They're just filler to kind of like bring us back into things, reintroduce us to the characters. And although this season's was less recappy, it still had plenty of that reintroduction to all the characters and their quirks and all of that jazz. But while still giving us an entertaining little training uh, mission exercise is probably better, yeah. An entertaining little training exercise. So now we get into the first actual episode, the first actual bit of canon content. And so the question now is, how is this season going to go? Apparently the stuff with in the first episode with Dobby and Hawks and Endeavor and all was canon, but everything else was not. So that stuff, I'm wondering if that's going to carry over into this episode or if they're going to wait on that a little more. Also, my camera died. Haven't had that issue in a while. Okay. That was weird. I apologize for that. I think I accidentally hit the cord at one point. Um, that hasn't happened in quite a while, though. I guess with the way I have my camera set now, I do have more of the cord out, so I think I accidentally hit it because I have it on the tripod now and everything. So, um, yeah, that was unexpected. Because that's really what happens when that happens. When that used to happen a bunch, it's because I had the cord out and I would accidentally hit it or something, and it would jostle it loose from the USB port. But anyways, um, yeah, I am. Excuse me. I'm wondering if we're going to get more on that in this episode, or if they're going to wait, hold off, because it seems like a big deal because it seems to be implying that Hawks is like working with the bad guys. So yeah, I guess we're gonna have to see more to really get a grasp on that. Um, excuse me. But nonetheless, I am excited for what this season has in store. The opening has a focus on Shinso and and the other members of class 1B or 2. I don't. No, it's 2A. The numbers go up, the letters do not. I have to keep trying to remember that. 2A. Um, so they are shown in the opening, so I assume they're going to have a role to play in this season as well, or at least in this first half of the season. Um, we'll have to see. I am definitely excited to see more of this, though. Like I had said last time, it's just been so long since we've had any of this series to really delve into. So definitely really excited to get back into it to see more, and hopefully this season ends up being just really good and gets to a level that I really hope for with this series. I can't figure out the right words to say otherwise. No, it's just I just woke up not long ago, so I'm just still trying to get my mind focused. I mean, I'll be good once it gets going and everything. It's just, yeah, wanted to get to this. So, um, but yeah, either way, we're going to get this started. Hope for the best. All that jazz. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was a very big episode. Not a lot actually happened. It was more set up for future stuff, but the stuff we got, the stuff that was setting up, was huge. So there were two main focuses. Well, I guess three. There were three main focuses. First off was Hawks. Hawks, we find out, is working as a spy. He was sent into the League of Villains to infiltrate them and gain information from the inside, which is a very smart move and a very risky move at the same time, because if Hawks is caught, he could be killed. But Hawks is probably the best choice for this, because as they even noted, with his distaste for how the hero rankings and everything go, and just the way everything is set up within the hero society, he makes the best choice to be able to infiltrate it. It makes the most logical sense that he would kind of act as a possible turncoat. So he's at the moment working with Dobby specifically, it seems, and apparently he does want to come in contact with the leader, but Dobby's not letting him meet Shigaraki yet. So I think after everything that happened with Overhaul, they're being a little more selective over who they work with, which I guess is fair. Because they just kind of worked with Overhaul like really quickly and met with him really quickly, and then he ended up killing Big Sis Mac right away. So, and a bunch of other shit happened too, of course, but still. So that's very interesting. But we also go more into Endeavor. So after being released from the hospital, Endeavor meets at his home with his three children. And we see that the oldest son is not ready to forgive him. He's not ready to forgive Endeavor for everything he had done. And as I said in the reaction, that's completely fair, because the stuff he had done was pretty fucking terrible. And even Todoroki said as well that he's not ready to forgive him yet. He's willing to give him a chance, but he's not ready to forgive him. And poor Fuyumi just wanted everyone to get along and just wanted everyone to be happy. But yeah, we're seeing that this kind of redemption arc for Endeavor is going to take a lot of work from him, which we kind of knew. Like, you don't just go from being an abusive asshole like that to being a good guy in the blink of an eye. You have to work towards it. And you're never going to truly be able to make amends for the actions you acted upon. The actions you did. Sounds weird, but you're never going to be able to fully make up for that. For burning Todoroki's face, for abusing Todoroki's mom, your wife, for so long that it ended up putting her into a hospital, mental hospital, because of her state of mind. That's never going to be able to be fixed. You have to work to make things better in the current day and the future. You can't fix the past. So we're definitely starting to see that, and he clearly wants to change, and he's clearly putting forth that effort. But again, you cannot deny his son's not being ready to forgive him. You cannot argue with that point of view. Fuyumi seems to be a lot more forgiving, a lot more ready, but not everybody's going to be. I mean, Todoroki was directly physically affected by his father's abuse. And the oldest son, whose name I cannot remember, that's why I haven't referred to him by name, but he was clearly hurt and affected by all of it as well. You could see how upset he was when talking about all of the abuse that their mom and Todoroki, Shoto, was put through. So it's like you get it. But we're on that path, and I think that he's going to end up proving himself. So we'll see. We'll see. But the third part of this episode was probably the most interesting. Continuing off of the end credits of the final episode of season 4, we finally get to see more information on the first holder of One for All, as well as All for One in his past. We see that the younger brother, the first holder, confronted All for One, and tried to stop him from everything he was doing. All for One, in the meantime, used his power in front of his brother to take this jaw quirk away from this guy who was called a monster because of the way he looked, and give another quirk, this spiky body armor kind of thing, to this other guy who wished he had some way to defend himself against these people who had attacked him and stuff. And the only one who saw an issue with this kind of thing was the first holder. And then we see a little later on, it looks like the first holder was being held captive by his older brother. And he was refusing to eat the entire time. And then we see the moment when All for One gives him the quirk that combines with his previously benign quirk to create One for All. So it's like we literally got to watch the moment that One for All came into existence there. Obviously not anywhere near its full power or anything, but still. And then the first holder speaks to Deku directly, telling him that he wanted to show him more, but since Deku's only at 20%, he can't really. This is really interesting for a lot of reasons. The biggest one being the fact that the first holder spoke to Deku directly, as I said in the reaction, kind of implies that there's at least part of his soul or something, part of his consciousness that is also passed down in the quirk. So presumably part of All Might, part of his consciousness is in there as well. So that's a fascinating concept, meaning that Deku, as time progresses, could communicate with all of the different holders, with Nana Shimura, with the ones shown before her, and he might be able to see much more of the past, learn more about all of the holders and their interactions with All for One, and maybe even learn how to stop him for good. Like, I mean, he's imprisoned right now, but still, stop him and even Shigaraki for good. it's really interesting that this is where we go in our first episode, just setting up a lot with Deku and the previous holders of All for or One for All. I keep getting them mixed up. um, we get the setup with Endeavor trying to be better, but also having the complicated feelings of his family and them not being able to fully trust him yet. And of course, seeing this stuff with Hawks and Dobby, it's a lot of setup, but it's heading in a direction that is really interesting. And if all of these different plot points are taken to their best possible like places, then I think we're in store for some really big shit coming up. Some just really big moments. But the opening still implies that this arc is going to be more focused on Shinso and stuff, and even class 2A. Is it 2A or is it 1B? I don't know. Now I'm questioning. I don't know. But either way, it looks like it's going to be focusing on them. So it's like the opening doesn't even hint really about anything like about a lot of this setup. So a couple things are shown, but I think there a lot of this is going to be in the background for now, and then come back later, and we're going to focus more on the other class and everything. So for this arc at least. So I feel like it's setting stuff up for a good point in the future, maybe the next arc, maybe even a couple arcs down the line. We'll see. Um, but either way, I'm definitely excited to see where a lot of this goes, and hopefully it ends up being really good. So, in the meantime, tell me in the comments below what you thought of season 5, episode 2 of My Hero Academia, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.